Hello students and welcome to Auditing. My name is Ed Schmitz and I will be your instructor for this course. We are currently looking at our D2L course here as it stands today. I've posted a welcome message here. It tells you a little bit about who I am and just a few tips, some contact information when I try and make myself available. I've got my email and my personal cell phone here so that you can contact me. There's also some information here about registering for the Connect version over in our that we'll be using for doing our homework here. So you can click right here. If you put the little finger on it, that'll take us straight to our course. Scrolling, well, here, let me go ahead and here's our course in Connect. You can see it's got 5 weeks. You click on week 1 and here are all the various assignments. So but back here at D2L, if you keep on scrolling down on that page, you can see I've got a calendar set up. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, so today is the first day of our course. I've got some due dates here. This Friday, the 7th, is when the original post needs to be made in the discussion forum, and then next Monday, the 10th, is when all the response posts are due for our discussion as well as the homework being due over there in Connect. So scroll back up here and let's look over at the content for our course. Under course documents, these are some of the generic documents that are in every course, but there is also some information if you're having trouble registering for Connect. I see that I think 3 or 4 of you have already registered, so most of you aren't having any issues and you've probably used it before. But if you're having trouble, there are some instructions here. But there are 2 files that you will use to do the project in this course. This is a PDF with some instructions, and then there is a spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Here we go. This is what it looks like when you download it. There's a number of tabs, and you will be doing the homework for the project using this Excel file. Okay, week 1. Let's look at what we're going to do this week. In the overview, this is course description, but during week 1 we are going to try and get an understanding of the services that auditors provide, as well as an introduction to the professional standards known as the generally accepted auditing standards, and they oversee everything an auditor does. I'm going to let you read some of this. You don't need me reading it to you. Let's see. Content. Okay, our reading for the first week are the first 3 chapters. Then our discussion. I'll spend just a minute here going over the instructions for the discussion. They're the same each week. The original post is due on day 4. So if Tuesday is day 1, Friday is day 2. So by the end of day on Friday, you need to have made your original post. Points will be deducted for each day late. And I do not accept them after the end of the week. The learning takes place by interacting with each other in the class. So once the week is done, the rest of the class has moved on, so it's too late to have that interaction. So week 1 discussions need to take place in week 1. If posts are made during week 2 or 3, they will not receive any points. Okay, so the original post is due by Friday. Your responses need to be made to at least 3 other original posts. And that it says day 6. I'll give you to day 7. Should take place on multiple calendar days. Original posts should be at least 150 words, well written using proper grammar. Response posts, 75 words on those. I'm fairly strict on the 150 for the original. The response post, not so much, but a 1 or 2 word response, that's not substantive. So at least get a full sentence or 2. I'm not going to be real strict about this, but the closer you get, the better. Original and response posts should incorporate material from the text and other substantive sources, meaning academic sources. Wikipedia is not a good source in any academic class. So references to work should be cited following APA rules. Now, I know as accountants, most of your courses tend to be quantitative, using numbers where you don't really have to use APA, so you may not be as familiar with it. However, it is still the standard here at MacU and in most of academia. So I'm looking for at least one time during each week where you use APA to cite your source. Typically, students will do that in their original post where they cite something from our textbook. Okay, so much for the instructions. In the first week, our discussion post is situation here where your neighbor, Lute Starkin, has invited you to lunch, and of course he's invited you there to ask you a question. He wants to discuss the annual report for Dodge. He owns Dodge stock and has just received the annual report, which states our auditors prepared the annual financial statements and gave an unqualified opinion, so he thinks his investment must be safe. Okay, so in our discussion, you need to discuss his misconceptions about what an auditor's role is and what it means to issue an unqualified opinion. And does that or does that not mean his investment is safe? Next part of our assignment is Learn Smarts. If you've had a class that utilizes Connect, you will know that the Learn Smarts are pretty easy. They're pretty much give me points if you have done the reading. You'll have some on each of the 3 chapters. Then we have the multiple choice over in Connect. You have some from each of the 3 chapters. Then you have the homework or the problems. So from chapter 1 you have 3 problems. Problem 56, problem 58, and 62. Then you have 3 from chapter 2, 66, 67, and 68. And then you only have 1 from chapter 3, number 54. And then you have this week's portion of the project where you utilize the Excel spreadsheet that I'd already shown you. And then that will be uploaded to the Dropbox. Everything else is done over in Connect, so I'll go over and get your grades from Connect at the end of the week and transfer them back to the gradebook. I do update the gradebook. One other thing I like to do is I go ahead and set up the final grade in the course so that as I enter things, you can go look at the final and see the cumulative grade you have, at least at that point in the class, to know how you're doing overall. I am very accessible. I am very willing to work with you and answer questions. So if you're struggling with anything or you're just not sure, do not hesitate to drop me an email question. You can also go into the discussions, this virtual office. Please feel free to ask questions there. If you have a question about it, more than likely somebody else might as well, and I can answer questions there so that everybody in the class can see my response. So I look forward to the next 5 weeks, and good luck.